All right, we just opened it up. People are coming from the waiting room into the main event.
The
Please,
big to do.
big to do. Please quietly grab a seat. No cell phones. No video or photography in the during the event. It distracts our performers. So everybody, as we'll give everyone a few minutes to join, but for those of you that are here on time, we appreciate that as always. My name is Chris Heller, President of Movoto. Um, while we're waiting for everyone else to get here, just do me a favor. Let us know in chat where you are today. I'll put where I'm at today. James was the fastest to the draw in Lancaster, PA. Becky, you hit send too fast, but I see you're in Albuquerque.
Amish country. I want to know where that is. Thank you.
I'm gonna guess somewhere in Pennsylvania, but you never know.
Yeah, probably. I got pulled over in Pennsylvania driving too fast, and the cop was like, "Hey, there's people with buggies here, man. You got to slow down." But he didn't give me a ticket. He was like, so it was a good thing.
I spend majority of my time in Whitefish, Montana, and near the Canadian border, near a little town called Eureka, there's a Amish community.
Oh,
Uh,
really?
yeah, and that's where we bought a lot of our furniture from. They make
They're
incredible
incredible
furniture.
craftsmen. That's true.
Yeah. All right, so we will give it another minute and then I'll make the introduction today. Hey, you guys, glad you guys are here. It's going to be a great session. I was just thinking before we got on, what a great way to like end the year with some good information, good inspiration. You know, it's the old adage of, finish strong to start strong. So we want to finish 2024 strong so we can hit 2025 strong. So those of you that are here, I have no doubt that will happen for you. So let me just go ahead and introduce Verl Workman. He's the co-founder and CEO of Workman Success System. Some of you are probably familiar with him, have seen him. For those of you that aren't, he is it's a consulting and coaching company. They specialize in developing, just high performing teams, high performing brokerages, and companies outside our industry too, businesses outside our industry. Um, Verl takes a really unique approach. They focus on the totality of the individual, the team, the company, developing leaders at every level. So helping, every agent they work with become a leader. He understands what, the value of systems and processes and procedures, and we know that that's the thing that is common with all great agents and great teams. So greatness is predictable if we focus on the right things, and Verl is going to help us focus on the right things. So Verl, if I left anything out, please let me
Just
know.
mostly if it's not fun, I'm not going. My favorite part of just life is that I'm a dad and a grandpa. I've got 6 kids and 12 grandkids, and all 3 of my married kids work for us in the business. So we have a family-run business out of Salt Lake, which is really cool. So I get up every day and I get to work with not just my favorite people, my kids, but also we have an incredible team here in Salt Lake. There's 35 of us in Salt Lake and about 100 coaches.
Awesome, awesome. Well, we can't wait to hear the things you want to share. I may have questions or want to clarify things. I may jump in and interrupt you. For those of you that are on live with us, you have an opportunity that the people that will be watching this on the recording don't, and that is to participate. So if you have questions, put them in chat, put them in Q&A, and we will certainly have time at the end to do it.
Well, I've got my questions open and also the Q&A, and so I'll pay attention to that. And Chris, first of all, thank you for having me. Movoto is a cool company, and you have this incredible technology and resources for your agents and brokers. And I want you to know that I appreciate you having me here today. And I promise that I'll bring my A game. We're gonna have a little bit of fun, and I'm gonna give you some no bull crap. How do we have a better year in 2025 than we did in 24? How does that sound?
That sounds perfect.
And do feel free to interrupt me anytime. I challenge you to throw me off my game. You can bring it.
All right.
All right. So I want to talk about, 3 very specific ways that you can generate an additional $100,000. No matter where you are, is there anybody on this call that would benefit from at least $100,000 of increased income in 2025? Anybody want an extra 100 grand? Like if you're in, then stay. Like if that number's too low and you want an additional 200,000, then we can talk about that, or 250. I'm going to show you how we do it with some of the highest performing teams in the world. And I'm not talking about theory. I'm going to talk about, what really works. And there's a lot of things that that don't work. I was listening to and Chris, I like you, when you see the slides, you're going to smile with me, but I was listening to a national conference, and the leader stood up in front of their agents and said that, hey, if you want to survive in today's market, you got to have some new things you're focused on. You got to expect longer hours. You got to market better. You got to set goals. You need to go back to the office. They literally told their agents they have to get a backup plan.
Ouch.
Are you freaking kidding me? Like there is no backup plan. This has to work for me. Like failure's not an option. Am I the only one who feels this way? Like this is my backup plan. Chris, if you operated your business where if it didn't work out, you had a backup plan, how different would it be?
Yeah, a lot different. It's we talk about burning the boats and and removing the safety nets and remove the option of failure.
Yeah, take more classes and stay positive. When I left that, I grabbed the slide and I thought, are you freaking kidding me? How about we do things that actually make us money? Like this whole money, I don't believe that if you put it out in the universe and you hope that it comes in, that'll come in. I believe that if you want something to happen, you have to make it happen. There's a reason that agent's average income looks like this. The average agent makes $54,300 a year. Agents who have been in the business 16 years earn an average of $85,000. Like I don't know how you can survive and with any kind of responsibility at all. Like your kids are playing comp sports instead of rec sports. And I remember my dad, we had 7 kids growing up, Chris, and my dad one time he spent much of his life in a nursing home. He had a brain aneurysm when I was very young. And he used to tell us, he said, son, I took all 7 kids to the shoe store. We bought everybody's shoes for $100. Can you imagine 7 pairs of shoes for $100, Chris?
Unfortunately, I can't, or sadly,
No,
I can't, I should say.
not the world we live in, right? Not the world we live in. So how do we go from, the average agent making $85,000? I don't know if you guys know this, but if you need a backup plan, the average Taco Bell manager makes about as much as a realtor, $56,000 to $75,000. So there are options out there. Like if this gig doesn't work out for you, this is what I've learned. I've learned in as an entrepreneur, and I've been self-employed my whole life. I'm psychologically unemployable. I sold a business several years ago to homes.com, and I had to work on their leadership team and answer to a board of directors. And it was, I validated the fact that I'm psychologically unemployable. If I wanted something as a kid, I had to go out and get it. We grew up in poverty. And I guess when you grow up in poverty sucks. And I realized that, but we were still happy. Our family was happy. But if I wanted anything significant, I had to go get it. I believe that massive action and only massive action creates a massive result. We can't take small incremental steps in things and hope we get this new massive income. And I'll also tell you that the things you were doing in the last 5 years that got you where you are today are not going to work in the next 5 years. If you want to grow, what got you here will keep you here. But if you want to grow to the next level, you have to do things drastically different. Do you agree with that, Chris? Like we have to look at the future and do future casting instead of looking at the past and dwelling on that.
Yeah, always be changing, always be growing.
So I'm going to give you some numbers that I want everybody to write down just so you have these numbers. And I'm a big believer in greatness being predictable. I think greatness is predictable and average is also predictable. And I can look at the activities or things you focus on, and we can look and find and determine whether or not you're getting a predictable result. So here's your numbers. Number one, when you list a property, every time you list a property, you should close 1.5 buy-side transactions. When you list a property, it generates between 6 and 8 buyer leads a month when you work it correctly. Every 25 buyer leads or 25 leads we generate, we add a buyer's agent to the team. When you think about creating scale, it's all based on a set of predictable numbers. I track hundreds and hundreds of teams across the United States and Canada. I know that when they list one, they sell 1.5. If you say, well, I have a heavy listing business and I'm doing 70% listings and 30% buyers, what that means is you're not following up with the B and C leads. You're taking the cream off the top, or you don't have enough people that are following up with all the opportunities, and you're not following them deep enough in the process. And so when your numbers are out of ratio, and I can look at those numbers, then I can determine whether or not and where we would coach to the gaps. For example, if you're taking listings, but you're not generating 6 to 8 buyer leads a month, then I look at what your marketing is. Okay, so how are you marketing that listing? What are you doing around the open houses? What are you doing? Are you knocking on doors? Are you making sure you're doing all the activities to generate the 6 to 8 lead? You don't generate 6 to 8 leads by just listing the house and then hoping it happens. And then the next thing is creating leverage, and I'm going to talk about that a lot today. So the first is, so when you look at this program right here, and you say, okay, if listings generate 1.5 buy sides, that means every time I get a listing, I close 2.5 deals. Where should you focus your time and energy if you wanted to grow your business in 2025? If you really wanted to grow, what is the one thing that you could focus on or change that would make the biggest impact? And go in the chat, and I want to know what you guys are thinking. Like when you understand this, when you work with a listing, it takes 3 to 4 hours. When you work with a buyer, it takes 20 hours. So you work with a listing, Chris, you generate 2.5 sides. You work with a buyer, you generate 1. So 2 or 3 hours to generate 2.5 deals, or 20 hours to generate 1. Is this like hard? Am I oversimplifying it? You've heard it say to list to last. I think that it's way more than that. It's when you control the inventory that you control your destiny. When, you know, all this stuff going on with the class action lawsuit and people not knowing how they're going to get paid. For me, it's really simple. List more houses. You always know how you're going to get paid. There's no doubt. Just list. Okay, so if you're going to list more houses, how do we go about the process of creating more opportunities without spending any money? So I'm going to give you 2 or 3 systems today that are very specific on how the top agents actually do it. And I'm going to give you systems like 8651. So the first system I'm going to give you is called 8651. And this is how to close 86 new deals a year, working with 50 people 1 hour a day. Now, is 86, is that a lot of deals, Chris?
A lot of deals for any one agent.
That changes your income. Now, if you can do 86 deals working with 50 people 1 hour a day, and it's a proven system, I study greatness. Like, that's my hobby. Like, when I find someone doing something amazing, I want to know, okay, what do you do? How do you do? What's duplicatable? How do we figure it out? I flew out to Louisville, Kentucky, I believe, and I was meeting with a guy named Mike Parker. Mike Parker was one of old Howard Brinton's Star Power stars, if you remember Star Power, Chris. And I sat down with Mike, who had this unbelievable business. I said, what do you do? And he says, well, I have these cards of these 50 people, and every month I call through all 50 of them. And I set up a lunch date, or we go get coffee, or we eat together as friends. And I have these personal touches with him. And I said, well, how does that track for you? And we looked at his sales numbers, and you could track between 70 and 90 deals a year came every single year out of his top 50. And I said, Mike, let's create a system around this. I believe that anything you do 3 times, you must create a system for it. If you're going to have it 3 times, if you're going to do it 3 times, you got to have a system for it. So we built 8651, and it's how to close 86 deals a year. And I'll tell you, we've got so many clients that are doing this. It's mind blowing. And it's a 0-cost lead generation system. So you can spend thousands of dollars, or you can just follow the system. Here's how it works. You make a list of the top 50 people, and I'll show you. I'll give you a couple downloads today. I'm going to give you the top 50 system. I'll also give you the tracker that we use. This is the actual tracker. And it's a simple Google spreadsheet. But what it does is we make a list of the top 50 people in our life that are most likely to give us 1 referral a year. And then every single month, we have to have 1 personal touch with all 50 of them. A personal touch is defined as a face-to-face meeting first, or a conversation. What is not included is an email or a text message. If people are sending an email or a text message, it doesn't count. So when you do this, I can look at a glance and I can say, hey, look, you get 40%, 50%, 90%, 100% of the people got touched this month. When you start tracking it like this, what happens is Number one is you're having conversations with them. And I want you to think about this. What do you say when you call people? Is you serve, you don't sell. So I'm not calling these people saying, hey, what do you want to buy or sell? I'm calling these people and saying, have you heard about this tool or system that will help you with your house? Or did you know that this is the time of year a lot of people are challenging their tax? Did you know that we review mortgages right now? People are that overpaid in the last 2 years in their mortgage are looking for something different. We literally change the way we communicate by finding out how we can serve them instead of how we sell them. And then we let them know they're in our top 50. Tammy Slay, one of my master coaches out of Texas, she tells people they have to earn the right to be on our top 50 list by agreeing that she can call them every single month and say, who do you got? There's a top 50 call. And they have to commit to giving them one non-commissioned referral every single year. I'll also tell you that if you want more referrals coming in, you use the top 50 list, you find out who they are, what they do, and you give more referrals out. Imagine what would happen if you made a list of 50 people and once a month you had a personal touch with all 50 of them and they knew the reason you were calling them to say, hey, has real estate come up in a party, a general gathering, a church group at work, and who do you got? And they give you the referral. And then we track the referrals coming in. What we found is it works over and over and over again. So Josh Mays, one of my coaches, Josh would say that he was spending a tremendous amount of money on Zillow and on paid lead sources. And this is what he learned. When he started working with Workman, he was making about 650. And then he started working his top 50. When he started working his top 50, he immediately went from 650 to 975 to 1.5 million. He then became a Workman coach and now helps other people do the same thing. And when you ask him of all of the tools and all of the systems and all the things we do at Workman, what is the one thing that moved the needle the most for you? And he says, getting not just me, but also the members of my team to focus on their top 50, and working their top 50 changed everything. So my first ask of all of you is to download the top 50 resource, which I'll give you a link to that or a QR code, and then take the tracker, make your list of 50 people. Now, here's how I determine if they belong on the list. Chris, if you don't want to call them, don't put them on your list.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? Like if you don't
Yeah,
want to call
why
them,
torture yourself?
right. Why? Like if you find yourself not wanting to call them, take them off. I don't care if it's your mother. Like I want 50 people who are willing to give you one referral a year. And you make the call and you say, let's have coffee or let's go out as couples or let's go bowling or whatever it is you do for fun, but you get together. These could be family members, friends, cousins, past clients, business associates, people in your church group, networking people. They've got to be in the program and everything works. The key to the system is you must do it every single month for 12 months. At the end, when you read through the ebook that I give you, at the end of the year, we hold a client appreciation event. I believe that events drive revenue. And at a client appreciation event, everybody that sent you at least one referral gets an invitation to the client appreciation event. If they didn't send you one, you have to take them off your list and replace them with somebody else. And we're going to do that every year until we have a list of 50 people that are performing every single year, giving a minimum of one referral. Here's what I found. I found that a lot of people don't just give you one, they give you 8 or 9 or 10. And that your raving fans become raving fans and you get so many referrals coming from it. The
Hey,
key
Vera,
is
Vera,
consistent.
I have a question. So everyone watching this, I don't think there's anyone watching this right now would go, nah, that wouldn't work. Right? It's like it's logical, it makes sense, it does it. Yet you and I know that you can show this to a lot of agents and a lot of them won't do it.
Yeah.
What stops them from doing it?
I'll tell like you want me to tell you what I really think?
Yeah.
I think it's tough.
We tell this group the truth all the time, so they're used to it.
Well, I think most people genuinely wake up every day and they want to be successful. And they want to provide for their families and they want to do the right things. But I don't think they know what to do. And the experiences they've had in their life up till now have formed a set of beliefs. And so because they've had a bad experience calling someone or because someone told them they don't have value or that they're not worth 600,000 or $1 million a year, they behave, their actions are based on what their beliefs are. And so our behaviors are based on what our beliefs are. And so because they don't believe in themselves, they don't believe in the result, they don't change their activities. And that's why they keep getting the same result. So for me, I think that the biggest difference between the highest performers in the world and the people that are performing at average or lower has nothing to do with the quality of the individual, but everything to do with the activities they focus on. What I mean by that is the difference between Josh and somebody else is, I met Josh in a room where there was probably 500 people. Josh actually did the work. He signed up and he said, I'm going to prove Verl wrong, and I'm going to make all these calls, and I'm going to do it. And it worked. And as he was doing it, the business came in. So the next time I shared something with him, he was all in, because he had a new experience and a belief that what we talked about would work. So I think it's limiting beliefs based on past experiences. Yeah.
No, I think I think you nailed it.
Yeah. And I don't think it's integrity. And I don't think it's work ethic. And I don't think they want to let their families down. I think they want to have success, but they don't know what to do. And so that's why I say, if you do it 3 times, you create a system for it. Also, it ties in perfectly to my next thought. I'm a big Ogmandino fan. Ogmandino is my favorite. It's like there's copies of this all over my office. Every one of our new clients get it. I actually have a license with Ogmandino to incorporate his training concepts into all of our training and coaching. I don't know if you knew that. I'm the only company in the world that has that.
I didn't know that. I just bought that book for my daughter's new boyfriend.
Yeah, right?
Yes.
I can't wait. So what was the scroll you were hoping would resonate with him?
Oh, there's so many. When I read that book, which was geez, almost 40 years ago, it like hit me like a bolt of lightning.
Yeah. The name of the book is it's The Greatest Salesman in the World. It's $7.99 on Amazon. And like I would tell you that all of our training, all of our coaching has the thread that holds it all together is Ogmandino's 10 scrolls, Chris. I don't know if you knew that about us.
No, I didn't. I love it.
Scroll number 1 says this. He says, so just to give you a little bit of a synopsis. So the book is about a young man who wants to become the greatest salesman in the world, and he seeks out a mentor. And he goes to his mentor and says, "Oh, you are the greatest salesman in the world, great mentor. Will you show me what to do?" And he says, "I'm going to give you assignments, and if you go out in the world and do these things, when you come back, I'm going to give you the secrets, the 10 scrolls that will unlock the secrets to success to become the greatest salesman in the world." And so the very first scroll says this. He says, "Today I begin a new life. Today I shed my old skin, which has long suffered the bruises of failure and the wounds of mediocrity. Today I'm born anew, and my birthplace is a vineyard where there's fruit for all." What he's saying, Chris, is, hey, what if today you could have a do-over? What if you could just set aside all your excuses for failure, all the times you say, see, that never happens for me, or it doesn't work? What if I let you let go of all of those things that have kept you where you are, and you get to start fresh? No more excuses. Then on the next page, listen, I love this because it's like he's writing to realtors. He says, "The career I have chosen is laden with opportunity, and it's fraught with heartbreak and despair. And the bodies of those who have failed before me, where they piled up on top of each other, would cast a shadow down upon the pyramids of the earth." What he's basically saying is, I'm going to be a realtor, and most people fail. And if I look at failure as the roadmap, it's most people. But he says, "I will not fail as others, for I hold in my hands the guide that will take me through these perilous waters." Now listen to these words. He says, "Failure will no longer be my payment for struggle. Just as nature made no provisions for my body to tolerate pain, neither has it made any provision for my life to suffer failure. Failure, like pain, is alien to my life. In the past, I accepted it, and now I reject it." We have to reject failure. And then he gives us a little bit of a roadmap, and I'll share with you why we created this next system. He says, "Which two among 1,000 men will define success in the same words? But failure is always described but one way. Failure is a man or woman's inability to reach their goals in business or in life, whatever they might be." And he says, "The truth and the only difference between those who have succeeded and those who have failed lies in their habits. Good habits unlock the door to success, and bad habits are the unlocked door to failure. So the first law I will follow is I will form good habits and become their slave." You want to know why greatness is predictable? Here's a question for everybody. And I don't know about you, Chris, but are you a creature of habit? Do you have like a morning routine? You get up, you do certain things every morning?
I'm a creature of habit with a capital C.
Oh, yeah, big creature, huh?
Yeah.
So what does your morning routine look like, out of curiosity?
Wake up early. First thing I do is stretch, work out, have my smoothie. Um, I everything else I do the night before, all the prep.
You plan your day and night before, you know what
Yeah.
you're doing. Meetings. But yeah, you know, I get up every morning and I get up really early in the morning. I often will read. And then I kind of have a kind of a spiritual, like just a moment to kind of reflect and be grateful for all the wonderful things that happen in my life. And then I look at my day and what needs to be done. And then I go play pickleball. And because that's a high contact sport. And so I just have fun. And then when I go to work, I'm ready to go and I'm refreshed and I feel like I've got a good workout in. Um, is it possible, and this is for everybody in the group, that some of your current habits could be replaced with better habits? And I'm not even saying our habits are bad, right? I'm just saying, is it possible? Melissa, I love that you're answering and being interactive. Thank you for that. Jennifer, thanks for your interaction. And Brent, yeah, it's possible. And so the reason we don't change our habits is we don't track what we do. Think about this for just a second. Now, so this is a schedule that we create called the My Perfect Week Scheduler. And all this is time blocking. Chris, so you recognize this as these are drop-down menus. I say, okay, I'm going to get up early. I'm going to have a meal. I'm going to have a quiet hour where I think about my day. I'm going to have office work. I have a time where I'm prospecting buyers or sellers. I go in advance and I plan my weekend in advance and I build what I call as my perfect week. And then every single day we track on what's called the daily success habits tracker, what we actually do in 30-minute increments. Now, I want you to think about that. We plan in advance what we want to do, and then we track what we actually do. And then we set a goal to get 61 points a day doing dollar productive activities. When I ask the question, is it possible that some of your current habits could be replaced with better habits? Everybody answers absolutely. Well, if the answer is absolutely, then why don't we change them? It's because we don't track them. So if you were to look at this one right here, and I was looking at these daily success habits, I look at breakfast, drive to the office, check email, check CRM for to-dos, complete my to-dos, get ready for a listing appointment, drive the appointment, go on a listing appointment, go to lunch, prospect for buyers, prospect for sellers. And then I track. When I'm doing my prospecting time from 1:30 to 2:30 up here in the right, I track how many dials. Every time I make a dial, prospecting is defined as looking for new business. I put a hash mark in it. When I have a conversation, I turn it into an X. I track the number of calls it takes to have a conversation, how many conversations it takes to get an appointment, how many appointments it takes to get a buyer listing agreement signed. And then I can go back. Now, I want you to imagine having this on, thousands of agents. And I know every day how many dials they make, how many conversations they have, how many calls they do. I know what time of day works best for prospecting. And they get 61 points a day focused on dollar productive activities. When I say greatness is predictable, let me show you what I mean. So I don't think I've ever shared this with you, Chris, but this is like, we only have 3 jobs in real estate. We prospect, we list and sell houses, we negotiate contracts. Everything else is fake work. How much of your day would you say you spend doing dollar producing activities? If I went back to this daily success habit tracker right here, and we wrote down everything you did in 30-minute increments, and I'm going to ask everybody in the chat, what do you think we would discover about dollar producing activities? How much of your day do you actually spend on doing things that generate revenue? Like what percent do you think I would discover if I started looking at your daily success habits? Denise is like, not enough. 15%. Yeah, that's probably true. 10 to 15%, 30%. Okay. So if you spend 70% of your day doing things that don't generate any revenue, and 30% doing dollar productive activities, I'm giving you the benefit of the doubt on that. What would happen in your life if those two things were to switch? And you spent 70% of your time on business development, on money-making activities. What would happen to your income? With any enthusiasm at all, what would happen to your income? It would skyrocket. It would triple. It would minimum triple. Okay, so when we look at that, being busy is not the same as being productive. Oh my gosh, how many of you ever had the busy day, nothing accomplished feeling? You get, Chris, I know you've had, I have days like this all the time. I get home, I'm worn out, I've been in meetings all day, I've done crap. And my wife says, so how was your day? And I'm like, oh, geez, I hate that question because I know I didn't do anything that generated any new revenue. All I did is put out fires. It's the busy day, nothing accomplished in it. It's because we're not intentional. I'm going to tell you that every business, every life, every family has a culture that is either intentionally created or it's accidentally created. And if you're not intentional about creating your perfect week, tracking what you actually do, looking at your 61 points, that means your day is being accidentally created for you instead of intentionally being created. Here's what I know. I know how many dials it takes to have a contact, how many appointments it takes to get a listing. I know how many buyer appointments and listing appointments to get agreements signed. We know the data. The people that track all these numbers. By the way, this is my coaching platform. So all of our coaches and all of their clients are in this platform. And these are the number of appointments they're getting so far year to date, 14,000, 18,000. And so, Chris, I want you to think about this as a coach. If you make 100 calls, but you don't have any conversations, what do you think the problem might be?
It might be who you're calling, it may be how long you're doing it for.
Yeah. Could be who you're calling, could be the time of day you're calling, right? If you're having conversations, but you're not setting appointments, then we can coach you on what to say when you have a conversation. If you're getting appointments set, but people aren't showing up, then we focus on how to get them to show up. If we're getting appointments set and they're showing up, but you're not getting listing agreements, then we focus on presentation skills. If you're getting great presentations and they're signing the agreements, but you're not getting your property sold, we focus on pricing and how to price a property or how to market it differently. What happens when you track the things that matter is we get really, really clear on where the gaps are, and then we coach to the gaps. It's not accidental. Success is not like this magical thing that happens when you go woo woo and all of a sudden it starts to happen. It's when you start tracking the right things and you have someone that looks at your business from a different perspective, and then they help you and they coach you to the gaps. So here's the daily success habits from a points perspective. Now let me show you. Oh crap. It didn't show it. Oh yeah, so this shows the income. 4.1 million, 2.9 million, 2.8 million, 2.4 million, 2 million, 1.9 million. Like there's a correlation between daily success habits and seven-figure businesses. Anybody want to play in this world? How many of you believe that, like, if you started tracking what you're doing, you focused on the right things, that there's greater opportunity than you're currently getting right now? Like, how many of you really want it? Like, do you want it? Is it something that you're just going to put out there and hope comes in? Or are you ready to go out and get it? Because only massive action is going to create a massive result. You can't keep doing what you've done. You've got to do it different. We got to shake it up. Let me tell you what we learned from daily success habits, Chris. See if you love these numbers. We know it takes 211 appointments to get 55 listing agreements or buy agreements signed. It's because we're not just going out with relatives. It takes 5 minutes per conversation, 18 conversations per appointment. We have 18 conversations every 90 minutes. So every 90 minutes, we generate a listing appointment. Every 90 minutes generate, and here's what it means dollar-wise. It means that every 90 minutes when you spend prospecting, if your average listing is $350,000, you make $10,500 for it, whatever your commission is, whatever you want to charge. That means that when you're prospecting, you're making $116 per minute when you're on the phone, or $7,000 an hour. Okay, now just for fun, let's go back to this really quick. Okay, so you go back to your daily success habits tracker. If we track what you do in 30-minute increments, how many of those activities are giving you a $7,000 an hour return on your time? And what if all we did in 2025 is fix that one thing, so that you spend 1 or 2 hours a day focused on the right things and their non-negotiable activities? To me, that's what makes greatness predictable. And so I gave you the numbers. The numbers are real. This is not like I showed you, I'm tracking it at such a high level. We know that they work. Greatness, Chris, is predictable. How cool is that?
It's an easy recipe.
Right. But you know what else is predictable? If I track you, if we look at your daily success habits and I see you don't spend any time doing any of the dollar predictive activities, we recognize that your average is also predictable. I can tell you that you're not going to make any money this year. based exactly on what you're doing. I can tell. And so I think of it like, how do I view coaching is like a GPS on your business. Have you ever gotten on the freeway and you know where you're going and your GPS tells you to get off an exit anyway, and you know it's not your exit yet, and you ignored it and stayed on the freeway, only to realize that there was a big accident up ahead that you couldn't see and you got stuck for an hour, and had you gotten off, it would have rerouted you around the problem? Because we're so in our businesses and we're not looking at their business from an elevated level, we don't know what we don't know. And so we keep going on the path thinking it's the right direction. And there's no one telling us, make a U-turn, get off the next exit, rerouting, recalculating. And so that's why I really believe that having somebody in your business or your life that genuinely cares about you, that doesn't have an ulterior motive, that just helps you keep on path and is willing to let you know, hey, you're off track. Let's get squared away. Let me give you another system for lead conversion. I know you guys are massive on generating and lead conversion. When we look at why people don't do business with real estate agents, I'm going to tell you it's not because the agents aren't good. It's because we make one or two follow-up calls and then we are off into the sunset, never to be heard from again. We do not follow up. One of our core values, these are my core values back here on my desk, if you can see them, and every one of my employees have it. The one on the bottom says, we persist until we succeed. That's one of our values as a company. We persist until we succeed. Failure is not an option. That means, Chris, we follow up with people until they buy or tell you to die. We follow up until they file a restraining order. Nobody ever says, I'm not doing business with Workman because we didn't follow up. We can not be a good fit for everybody, but we persist until we succeed. And so I want to do this with lead generation for just a minute. How many of you believe that you would make more money if you just had more leads? Like if I just had more leads, that would solve my problem. I just need more leads. Anybody? Brent says, nope. Mona says, yep. It'd be fun to have an open conversation with the two of you. All right. Anybody else? Okay, if you believe if you had more leads, you'd sell more houses. I'm going to say that that's a bunch of crap. And if all you did is follow up better with the people you already have generated as leads in your database, you would sell more houses. If you didn't do any new lead generation in 2025 and all we did is better follow up, you'll sell more houses than you did in 2024. Here's how we follow up. I'm going to give you a follow-up system that is absolutely proven. I've done it with thousands of people. We continue to use it. And and it doesn't matter what you're using for your database. Like you take your database and you plug in the numbers. Ready? An A lead is somebody you have an appointment with. Is that defined clearly enough? They're ready to buy or sell, and you have an appointment. You go on a listing appointment, you meet with someone, they don't sign the listing agreement, you say, okay, I'll call you next week. That is not an appointment. You say you want me to call you Monday or Tuesday, morning or afternoon, 1 o'clock or 3 o'clock. You set the appointment. When you go out and show buyers houses on Saturday, they don't make an offer. You don't say, well, let me see what else I can find, and we'll go look at houses next week. You go, let's look again next week. We're going to do Tuesday or Thursday. You want to go 1 o'clock, 3 o'clock, whatever the timing is, you set an appointment. An A lead, if somebody came to me and said, I asked somebody on my team the question, how many A leads do you have? And they say, well, I've got 4. I say, great, show me your calendar. Simple as that. I see 4 scheduled appointments, you have them. An A lead is a scheduled appointment. Got it? A B lead. Ready for the next one? A B lead is somebody who's not ready to buy or sell for 30 to 90 days. We're going to call them 2 times a month during the week that the 1st falls in and the 15th falls in. You think about all the people that use the database, Chris, and if all they did is go through and they went and they called all their B leads twice a month during the weeks of the 1st and the 15th religiously. And here, let me give you the dialogue. Here's what I would, if I was calling Chris, I'd say, hey, Chris, Verl over at Workman. I'm just calling to make sure I'm not dropping the ball. Have you been getting the properties I've been shooting over? Anything you want me to change? You said you wanted 3-car garages. I sent you a couple of 2, but they had room to do 3-car garages. Are you okay looking at those as well? I'm asking him questions and I'm serving regardless of opportunity, and I'm calling him twice a month. If I call you twice a month, Chris, and I say, hey, this is Verl, I'm just making sure I'm not dropping the ball. Eventually you say, look, Verl, you're not dropping the ball. You call me every 2 weeks.
Yep.
But I've never had anybody say, go away, you psycho. Like, if I'm this aggressive at earning your business, how do you think I'm going to be when you hire me as your agent?
That's a mindset and that's a script.
Yep. Yeah. We role play this. We role play. We have our own proprietary AI role play tools where you can go in and role play all these things that are really cool. And our AI will role play the scenario you put in. It's kind of fun. A C lead is someone who's not ready to go for 90 days or more. And we are going to call them once a month during the week of the 8th. So our C leads, we're going to call once a week during the week of the 8th. An A lead, we have an appointment. The B lead, we call twice a month during the weeks that the 1st falls in and the 15th falls in. The week of the 8th, we called our C leads. What do you think I'm going to say to a C lead? Anybody want to guess? Hey, this is Verl. I'm just calling to make sure I'm not dropping the ball. I say the same thing to a C lead as I say to a B lead. And I've never had anybody say, hey, hold on now. Isn't that your B lead script? Just have fun. Don't take yourself too seriously. Have a good time. You're following up with people, making sure you're not dropping the ball. It removes the barrier from me trying to sell them something. Hey, I'm just calling to make sure I'm not dropping the ball. I'm serving. I want to make sure I'm helping you out. And then we call our sphere of influence during the week of the 22nd. So I want you to think about that. An A lead you have an appointment with. A B lead we call twice a month during the weeks of the 1st to 15th. C lead we call once a month during the week of the 8th. And then we work our sphere during the week of the 22nd. What happens is, and Chris, I don't know if you realize that, I know you realize it, but I've just given a system for lead follow-up, a systematic process for following up with leads until they buy or tell you to die. And nobody ever falls through the cracks. The reason people don't convert a high percent of their leads is because they stop following up after 1 or 2 calls. And most conversions happen between the 7th and 12th contact. And so between 7 and 12, that's where the conversions happen. And we quit after 1 or 2 calls thinking they may not be interested. You want to be better than everybody else, you got to follow up better than everybody else. You have to systematize that follow-up and do it religiously. This is what it looks like from a lead diagram. And I will tell you that the follow-up system just works. Before they're ever an A, B, or a C lead, they're in my top 50. That is the golden goose. That is the top, that is the bottom of the funnel that turns into cash the fastest. Then I work my A's, my B's, my seeds. Then I've got people that are in nurture campaigns, and I've got people in just met campaigns. And the goal is, as you have your conversation, it just literally brings them down the funnel until they do business with you. Let me see, we have a great question here. Do you have a script for when you've actually dropped the ball and want to find a way back in? But the time has lagged and been awkward. Yes. Yeah. Okay. Christy, thank you for asking that question. So I'm gonna give it to you. It's called the apology script. You know, everybody screws up. Like, so first of all, the fact that you're willing to admit that I screwed up and I dropped the ball and I'm trying to get back in with a client, I love that you're willing to admit that because you're self-aware. I screw up daily. Just ask my wife. She'll be the first one to tell you that. Like, if you don't admit you screw up and you think you're, you know, the greatest thing since sliced bread, you'll never work on improvement. So thank you for saying, I don't want it to be awkward. And I just want you to know that you cannot do this with an email, a text message, or a letter. You have to go see him face to face, or you need to pick up the phone and call them and say, hi, this is Verl. I want to just apologize for not doing a better job and follow up, and I'd like an opportunity to earn your business back. Whether you ever do business with me again, I just want to make sure you and I are in a good place. I want you to focus on the relationship, not earning their dollars. And just say, look, I don't like having a relationship that feels out of balance, and I left it out of balance with you. I'd like to get together with you. Can I buy you coffee and let's just sit down? And I'd like your genuine feedback on what I can do to create a better experience for my clients going forward. There's so many ways we can deal with that. But the key is just be humble and be authentic and really do want to make a difference. Nick Payne's a fun client of mine. He's a fun client that came into Workman. He was doing about $495. The problem with Nick, though, he was so burned out that he never saw his kids. He had a young family, never actually got to give back to the community. After 1 year of working with Workman, he went from 28 to 53 transactions, almost doubled his production, but he stepped back from production. He no longer went on listings or worked with buyers, hasn't shown a house for 6 months. So what happened is by putting team structure together and by executing on top 50 daily success habits, all of a sudden, greatness became predictable, and it made a big difference in everything that he said and did. Okay, so 3 things. Number 1, recognize and understand that greatness is predictable. Greatness is predictable. You can have it all. Number 2, 8651. Work your top 50, build your top 50 list, and build a massive referral business. we teach another concept called 3-2-1-1. So maybe Chris, on another call, we can do this, where we talk about 3-2-1-1s. It's about the giving of referrals. I'm writing a book right now with Brandon Barnum called Raving Referrals. It'll launch in February. And it's all about how to build a massive referral business. Number 3 is work your daily success habits. That which gets measured gets done. And last is remember that we do all of these things, but we never do them at the expense of our family, faith, friends, fun, or fitness. Oftentimes we focus on finances at the expense of the other 5 F's that actually make a difference. Let me give you this download. I'm going to give you the 8651 ebook. I'm also going to give you my top 50 tracker, that whole tracker. You can just go to this QR code right here. And there's a little thing, and there's a little form that says find my fit. Tell me a little bit about you. And if you want some additional help, reach out to us. We're not a hard closing coaching company. If you want some help, you just raise your hand and say, I'd like some help, and we'll have a consult and see if we're a good fit. It's as simple as that. I'm going to stop my share if I can, Chris, and we'll put the link in the chat as well. And just open up the last 10 minutes or so to any questions anybody has.
Yeah. Hey, Verl, there was a question earlier about the the spreadsheet that you showed for identifying and tracking your 50 people.
Yeah.
The question is, if someone does not have a top 50, like for example, if they're a newer agent, I assume that you create a top 50 with just as many as you do have, and then you keep growing it. Is that correct?
Yeah. Matter of fact, I would say that it's likely that you do have a top 50. And if I were coaching you, I would say, okay, get out your phone, start with the A's, and then the B's, and then the C's, and start making phone calls and develop your top 50. If you're new to an area, a more likely scenario is an agent comes in, they're new to an area, and they don't have any relationships there. Brooke Sines, one of my clients out of Michigan, she left Michigan, opened up in North Carolina. She came in as rookie of the year, her first year in real estate, a great relationship person. But when she moved to North Carolina, she didn't know anybody. It took her 3 years to build a 7-figure team in Michigan. It took 6 months in North Carolina. So I remember sitting down with Brooke and her saying to me, I don't know anybody here. How do I build my top 50? I said, that is your job. Your job is to put yourself in the middle of community and figure it out. So she started a women's reading group. She started getting together with kids' parents. She volunteered at the school. She started doing activities that put her in front of people so she could build her top 50 list. And literally in 6 months, she had a $35 million business in a marketplace. She didn't know anybody. When you know how to do it, I can drop you off anywhere in the world and you can build your business. Greatness is predictable.
Mona asked, would you count husband and wives separately?
If they're both capable of each giving you more referrals, the answer is absolutely. And oftentimes that's the case. My wife's circle of friends, she has a whole group of friends that are different than mine. And we have some we have together. And then I've got my business associates. So you could absolutely have a husband and wife be different. Love these questions. That means you're thinking about it.
All right. So, hey, for everyone, put your questions in chat or put them in the Q&A. This is why we do this. While we're waiting for the next question, I have a question.
All right, fire away.
On the topic of follow-up, I agree with you. You never stop. I rarely see that though in agents. I see them stop all the time. I see them sabotage themselves. I see them feel like they got ghosted by the consumer. You and I can say, hey, never stop, but why do they?
Well, they stop because it's easier to get. I'll tell you what. One of the reasons is we've gotten so good at generating online leads, especially buyer leads, that we have new fresh meat coming in all the time, and so we constantly want to work these new leads and try and skim the cream off the top. I mean, that's really why. But the people who have big, serious businesses, they follow up when everybody else drops off, and they take market share, and it's really cool to watch. The other thing is they think they're being rejected when someone doesn't call them back, and the truth is that these people aren't thinking about, Chris, I like you, man, but I never think about you. I go through my entire day and I never think about Chris Heller. And so even though you're an A lead or a B lead, I don't think about you until it comes up on my screen that I need to follow up and touch base. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So it's not that I don't like you and respect you, because I totally do. It's that I don't think about you. People, you take it personal when people don't respond to you. They don't think about you. It's not about you. It's all about them. And when you take yourself out of the equation, you think, I just want to make a difference in the world. What can I do to help this person? They're sitting on the fence. They're struggling. They don't know how to move forward. And I just want to help them. Get up every day and help more people. Stop selling and start serving. I mean that so sincerely. I can't even tell you that your life will change massively when you stop thinking of lead a follow-up as lead conversion. I don't want to convert. All I want to do is build a relationship by giving you something of value every time we have a conversation. And if we do business together, that's a great thing. And if we don't, at least we have a good relationship.
Yeah,
And it's
I love it. I love that you've also talked about, when in build the way to build a relationship is either face to face or on the phone, and really face to face is where it really happens. We teach that to our agents. We introduce buyers to them that come to our site, Movo.com, and we tell them the first thing to do is just set an appointment, get face to face to build that relationship. When we record the calls, and we still hear agents that don't do that, and they're I think fall back on either what they were taught years ago in a different dynamic and a different type of market with different consumer expectations and behavior than we have today. What's your advice for someone who's meeting that person for the first time on a phone call, especially if it's um an arranged marriage or a blind date like what we do?
Yeah, I love that. I love the question. And the first thing, we used to teach a script called LP Mama. You remember that?
Yep.
Location, price, motivation, working with an agent, qualify for mortgage, and then set the appointment. Now we teach LA, location, appointment. That's it. I don't qualify them. I don't do anything. I'm like, hey, I'm calling on a house you have over on Keswick. The answer is, oh, awesome. When do you want to meet me over there? I'll get you in it. Let's take a look at it. And that's it. I mean, I want to meet him face to face. I'll do a single party showing agreement when I meet him at the house so I can get an agreement signed so I can show him property and be in compliance. And then I develop a relationship. And the way you build relationships is you ask questions. You stop acting like you know everything. You're interested instead of interesting. Hey, Chris, tell me about your family, your faith, your friends, your fun. I noticed you're driving a Porsche 911. That's sick. Have you always been a Porsche guy? Like, I want to ask questions that build a relationship, that give us the opportunity to see if we're a good fit to work together.
Yeah.
Location, appointment. That's it.
That's it. That's
The
it.
appointment.
And being interested instead of interesting, or trying to be interesting, because most of us aren't interesting.
We think we are, right? Nobody cares. I'm telling you, I've been married 38 years. I married my childhood sweetheart. So whenever I talk about my wife, my wife is amazing. Like, she's married to me. So like, she has to be amazing to put up with me is what I'm saying. I've traveled my whole life. She's just this amazing lady. And she'll say things to me like, nobody really cares. And I'm like, ooh, that's brutal. And then I think about it. I'm like, really, they don't. They're thinking about themselves. Why do I have to tell them about what makes me so great? Yeah, that's
Yep.
really good. Well, I mean, I care. I love you, but nobody else really cares. So stop talking about yourself.
Yep. All right. So here's a question for you. It's I don't know what the date is, December 11th.
Yeah.
We know that most of the world starts to check out, most of the world starts to take their foot off the accelerator. Um, what do you work with a lot of agents, a lot of teams, a lot of brokers. What do you tell them about this time of year?
There is no better time to reach out to people, to wish them a Merry Christmas, and to see how they're doing and check in with their family and see what their plans are for the year. When everybody else is taking their foot off the gas, we take their market share. So I love it when people pull back during the holidays because we go in and we take their business. I'll give you a Verlism. We don't create any new business. All we do is take other people's. And
Yeah.
so you have to decide, you want to be in market share acquisition, or you want to be letting go of your market share because you're going to go ahead and relax during the holidays. Just call people up and wish them a Merry Christmas, serve them. I'll give you an Augmandino. Augmandino in his scroll, I will persist until I succeed, says this. He says, I was not delivered in this world in defeat, nor does failure course through my veins. I am not a shepherd. I am not a sheep waiting to be prodded by my shepherd. I am a lion, and I refuse to walk and talk and sleep with the sheep. The slaughterhouse of failure is not my destiny. I will persist until I succeed. Now, I want you to think about that. Like, do you need someone to prod you with a cattle prod so you make your calls? Or are you just going to get up every day and you're going to eat rejection for breakfast and go make some money? Like, like if I don't get rejected 100 times a day, then I'm not doing it right.
Yeah. And it doesn't mean anything because no one cares.
They're not rejecting me. They don't know me. They're
All right.
rejecting the concept of me.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I've said it 1,000 times. If you're just consistent and persistent, you'll win more times than not.
But that's why we did that ABC follow-up system.
Yep.
A's have an appointment, B's we call twice a month, C's we call once a month during the specific week. So imagine culturally, if everybody who got Movoto leads, we got them all on a call the weeks of the 1st and the 15th, and all we did is follow up with B and C leads. And then we tracked who made calls, what they said, what time of day gave us the best response. What do you think would happen to conversions if we did that for, say, 60 days?
Through
Is
the
there
roof.
any chance we fail?
No.
No. Okay, so if we know there's no chance we fail, what's the action item?
Do it.
Yeah, let's go.
Let's do it.
I like to say my boat runs on gas, not thanks. Like I gotta make some money. I'm hungry. Let's go to work.
Yep. Yep. And here's what's great about like everything that you covered today, anyone can do. Like there's some things where people go, I don't have the experience, I don't have the skill. These aren't skill and experience things.
No, they're tenacity things.
Yeah.
They're I'm just gonna do. I've seen some people who, if you met them, Chris, you would be like, oh my gosh, that person will never be successful. And they knock it out of the park, sometimes 3 and 4 million a year in GCI. And I've seen some amazingly brilliant people with high level education that know everything absolutely fail
Yeah.
because they aren't willing to put in the work. I would rather have 100 people who are willing to put in the effort than 100 people who tell me how smart they are. Just
Yeah.
do the work.
Yeah. Well, Verl, thank you so much for being here. Thanks for sharing this. I know everyone got a lot of value. If people want more, if they want to be in touch with you or your company, um, I know Candace put your link up in the chat. Is there anything else you want to leave everyone with before we wish them a great and productive rest of remainder of the year?
Let me share my slide with you. I'll give you my closing slide. For me, it's all about this right here, and that is that you really can have it all. I grew up in a family with 7 kids. My dad was from a little town in Iowa. My mom came from Holland as a first-generation immigrant. I didn't have any cousins or uncles or relatives. This is my family. Look at the diversity of my family. All my little granddaughters on that front row, and my brothers and sisters, and my kids and their spouses. Family's everything for me. And
Hey, what's going on? No grandsons, only granddaughters?
you know what? My son that has my grandsons wasn't here. I have 3
Oh, yeah.
grandsons that sit right here in this blank space.
That's beautiful. That's
Isn't that
awesome.
fun?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll tell you that we have had an amazing thing. So I get up every day and I look at my family and I think to myself, and maybe this is something I can leave you all with, and that's this. If you set your goals to double in 2025, and the result of you not hitting them was you would lose one of your kids or your grandkids, how would you work differently? Would failure be an option for you? So that's how I work. I get up every day like I can't fail. It's not an option for me. There's too many people that depend on it. And so if you work like your life depends on it, or more importantly, somebody else does, you'll get it and you'll do it well. And if you need help in the journey or the process, my coaches are amazing. They are just unbelievable givers that absolutely kill it in business, and their clients do great. So if you need some help, raise your hand and say, I want some help, and let's have a consult and see if there's an opportunity for us to work together. Chris, thank you so much.
Thank you. And thank you everyone for being here. We appreciate all of you. We love being in business with you. And we wish you a productive remainder of the year and some great and happy holidays.
Merry
Thanks.
Christmas, everybody. Bye.
Merry Christmas.